Huntington Beach, California, Surf City, USA, where the waves are epic, the vibe is chill, and the weekends are always filled with fun. But what's it really like to live in Huntington Beach? There are things that locals won't spill unless you're one of them. Today, we're spilling the beans on the good, the bad, and the totally unexpected about living in Huntington Beach, California. If you're dreaming of beach life or just love juicy insider scoops, hit that subscribe button and let's dive into Huntington Beach. And don't forget to stay for that little bonus tip later on in the video, which offers helpful but often overlooked advice to anyone who's thinking about moving to Huntington Beach. Let's get started. So would you say one of the most unexpected things about Huntington Beach that people have when you're working with them, when you help them buy a home there, when you help them sell their home there, is that it's actually not as expensive as you'd think? We're not saying that it's cheap, but you like to call it a unicorn city, and that is kind of, people are, it's an unexpected thing. So you want to talk about what makes Huntington Beach unique in that respect?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's actually, okay, so one, it has the name brand recognition. So sometimes you'll find cities that are rather, quote unquote inexpensive for what they are, but like no one knows what they, what these cities
like
are.
Rancho Santa Margarita or something.
I mean, people just don't know,
Or Fountain Valley. Or
people, it's Fountain Valley is great, it's just people don't really know much about it. But, Huntington Beach is worldwide known. It's Surf City, USA, right? So people know Huntington Beach. It's also like for all the attributes, particularly it being a coastal city. Coastal cities always, have this premium, potentially like a hefty premium. I mean, just go to the next city down south. Like, so the city that Huntington Beach borders is Newport Beach. And Newport Beach is like 3 times more expensive, like way more. And depending on the type of property, it could be 5 times plus more expensive for a like-for-like property. So it's crazy expensive in Newport. And the fact that you're just next door to it, so you have the same weather patterns, you have beaches, like you have all that stuff, but the price is barely anything of a premium to the Orange County median price point, which is kind of insane when you think, again, that this is a coastal city with the best weather in the world.
Yeah, whenever you're in Huntington, you can just feel that Southern California beach weather. You can smell the salt air, you can feel it, and then you think to yourself, wow, this is just so nice. So the fact that the premium isn't that much compared to the rest of Orange County it's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, exactly, because people think of, like, again, other cities, and a lot of them that people call us about are way more expensive than Huntington. Huntington is really, truly a unicorn city in that you have a lot of things going for it, which we'll get into this a little bit further, but the fact that it's a coastal city and it's at this price point is really impressive.
Yeah, and before we continue, don't forget to stay tuned for our bonus tip a little bit later on in the video, and comment below where are you coming from, what part of the world are you from, that you're thinking about moving to Huntington Beach.
So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Dezahd.
And I'm Courtney Dezahd.
And we're licensed realtors here in the state of California. And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love Orange County, I love the blue skies, I love the perfect weather, I can't wait to move here. Now the problem is I'm not local, I may be out of state, I may be even out of the country, so I don't know what to do. And I totally get that. That's when you reach out to us, because that way we can be your boots on the ground, finding out specifically what you're looking for, and find those homes that really could be the right fit for you. We could actually do virtual tours of the homes as well as the neighborhoods, really giving you a feel what's out there. So when you do come out here, your time is spent super efficiently. So what you want to do is then give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country. Some other unexpected things are, or at least this was quite unexpected to me, even though, I've been in Orange County for like 20 years before I learned this, but actually a lot of the schools in Huntington Beach are very highly ranked, which I don't know if maybe it's just my own thinking, but sometimes I think, oh, it's a beach city, so it has a reputation of having bad schools. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true. That was just kind of my thinking. So for me, that there's so many highly ranked schools in Huntington Beach, I was kind of surprised.
I remember when I was showing properties there, like this is again earlier, like way earlier in my career, it's like going, like, let me look at what the school rankings are. I'm just going, wow, these are really good. These are impressively good schools as far as the rankings. So I was blown away. And again, this adds to that whole value proposition of what Huntington has, is that you not only are you a coastal city, but you in general have really solid schools. And the thing is that I always have this caveat, of course, when it comes to schools, because the rankings tell you a certain thing. But obviously, like one, I would always recommend, contacting the school administrators, maybe joining a couple of Facebook groups where you can contact, have communication with some of the parents just to see if it's a good fit for your aspiring pupil in your household. So basically, but having said that, these rankings aren't completely in a vacuum, where they do have some credence to them.
Another thing that I think is surprising about Huntington Beach is just how convenient it is located in terms of how easy it is to get to Los Angeles County, and that's because of the PCH, or Pacific Coast Highway. So because you can use that option of the PCH, or depending on where you are in Huntington Beach, you can obviously just hop onto the 405. Now, of course, you're going to be dealing with traffic, but I think that it's a lot easier than I would have thought to get to Los Angeles County. So yeah, I mean, you have friends, clients that they live in Huntington Beach specifically because they want to be able to get in and out of LA easily.
Yeah, my sister and her family actually live in Huntington Beach, and they do a lot of business in Los Angeles. And in fact, they would rather be there than, let's say, Newport Beach, all things considered, because of how convenient it is. You're bypassing a good swath of where traffic can back up, because through Huntington Beach, you can either go take the 405 freeway, northbound to Los Angeles, or you could just actually take Pacific Coast Highway. Right, you could just take it along the coast, and then you intersect 405 and all that other stuff. So it's super convenient from that perspective. You're just bypassing a lot of traffic that otherwise would be there.
Yeah, and then I would say one sort of con that is unexpected about Huntington is that there really isn't any beachfront, unlike Newport Beach, which has
plethora of it.
Yeah, tons of, multi-million beachfront properties. Huntington doesn't really have that. The only real water that it has is in the harbor, Huntington Harbor.
Yeah, there's one condominium community that's on the beach, and then there's the Huntington Harbor, which does have, obviously waterfront properties, so you do have that option, but Newport just has so much beachfront homes and also harborfront homes that if that's what you're interested in, there's just less variety, certainly in Huntington Beach for sure.
Yeah, and then obviously Newport Harbor is just way bigger. Huntington Harbor, it's nice, but it's small, right?
Yeah,
Newport is huge. I mean, it's just like a whole different animal.
It's a world-class harbor in that it's not as big as some of these commercial harbors, but for a harbor that doesn't actually have container ships going through and all that stuff, it is a massive, massive harbor. And Huntington Beach is, its harbor is nowhere close to that size. But Huntington Beach Harbor is actually certainly the second best harbor. I mean, it's the second biggest harbor because you have the marina in Dana Point. But
that's fair. No, I would say Dana Point's bigger.
I don't think so.
Well, you can check on Google.
Yeah,
check on Google and tell me what I think that Sean's wrong. I'd say another unexpected thing about Huntington Beach is that even though it's a beach city, so often you think a beach city, so you think, Newport, Laguna, you're going to have tiny little lots, right? Because your backyard is the beach. Whereas in Huntington Beach, you actually do have quite a decent amount of houses that have bigger lots and even fairly close to the ocean, which is, that's something that's very surprising for a beach city.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So obviously you do have those, what you think of your typical beach city homes where the lot size is like
it's the house. There's no yard.
You have your offset about 3 feet on every side of you, but basically that footprint you're just going up. You're going vertical 3 stories plus, 3 or 4 stories. But actually, so you do have that a little bit in say downtown Huntington Beach. But besides that, as you go outside of there, a lot of these homes actually have. It's like some of it's kind of almost suburbia in a weird way, which is weird because you're right close to the ocean, so you wouldn't think that would exist.
Yeah.
But you have actually decent lot size, and then on top of that, you have homes that could be on the golf courses there or whatever. Even in Huntington Harbor, the lot sizes are surprisingly large for being on technically islands.
And the houses are big too in Huntington Harbor,
and the streets are wide
shocking to me.
The houses are big, the streets are wide, and the lot sizes are not small. Again, you would think that these would be tiny because in Newport, if you're kind of close to the ocean like that, you're for sure dealing with some really tiny lots. But in Huntington Beach, actually, you have some decent options there.
I would also say that the parking in Huntington Beach is easier than you'd think. Of course, it's still a beach city, so it's going to be restricted parking. So let's say you wanted to go to the beach because you don't live close enough to the beach to get there without a car. So, I mean, I would say that if you're driving, so because you want to go to the beach one day, the parking actually typically isn't that bad.
Okay, so beach cities are horrific. So it's kind of like how we talk about traffic. Orange County is graded on a curve. Huntington Beach, I would say, is graded on a curve compared to other beach cities. Laguna Beach, horrific.
Yeah.
Newport Beach, really bad. Huntington Beach, so what I'll say is specifically, even less so on, let's say, days where you're trying to go to the beach. I would say, if you're living there, and let's say even if you're living downtown, parking actually is not bad on the street, which is crazy because we lived in the peninsula in Newport Beach, and parking was, I don't care how late at night it was horrible. It was very tough to find. You got really good at parallel parking, though. But in Huntington Beach, actually, parking's fairly prevalent. So it's actually kind of shocking, again, for a beach city, that it is much better than its peers, at least.
Yeah. So don't forget to stay tuned for the little bonus tip at the end, and then also comment if you are interested in Huntington Beach. What part of Huntington Beach are you interested in? But now let's talk about the parks in Huntington Beach. So you think, oh, Huntington, it's just beaches. That's all it is. It actually has really nice parks, and Central Park itself is much better than you would probably think. I think it's better than Irvine's Great Park. Not that I'm in love with the Great Park, but Huntington really does have some nice amenities other than the beach.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for a beach city, you think that parks are hard to come by. Actually, the Central Park in Huntington Beach is good size. You have a lot of sports fields. It's actually a park that you can utilize too. That's my biggest criticism with the Great Park in Irvine is that it seems like it's just sports fields and it's not really much of a park atmosphere. Whereas in Central Park in Huntington Beach, I feel like it has more of that park vibe to it. And you have one of the largest children's libraries west of the Mississippi. So again, it's just a nice, and that's just one example, but like there's several parks all over the place, but that's a really nice, large park in a beach city.
So now let's talk about the little bonus tip, and this goes for right now in 2025. Inventory is actually making it so that it's more of a balanced market, and that means that buyers can buy and sellers can sell, and it's not this feeding frenzy that I think a lot of people, they just gave up. They're like, whatever, I'm never gonna be able to buy. It's too hard,
Yeah, we're approaching pre-COVID levels of inventory, so homes that are for sale in the market. Like during COVID and immediately post-COVID, inventories just fell off a cliff where there was just so few homes that were on the market that basically whatever came on the market, there was just this absolute frenzy. Like people would be waiving contingencies, they'd be way overbidding, just crazy things happening. Not to say that you don't have like pockets of that happening depending on what the property is, but in general, it's a much more balanced market. There's more homes out there, which is fantastic because like finally, when I have buyers looking for a home, before it's like, man, how much do you have to settle to just get into a property? Like, how many, you have a list of things you want to check off as far as attributes for a home. And do you check off even half of them, right? And now you can actually check off almost all of them because at least there's more homes, more variety. It's not like they didn't exist before. It's just that good luck of it being on the market. And right now, there's just so much more out there, which is just, again, it's finally a balanced market, which is fantastic. Having said that, who knows how long this will last? We could see inventories constrict again. And, so that's where we're in that little pocket where we finally have inventory, but who knows how it'll last. And so definitely if you're interested in a home in Huntington, right now's a good time to kind of really start looking into it a little bit closer. Mm-hmm. And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of California. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is when you give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is the cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.